Welcome. Today I will be paraphrasing, summarizing, and sharing for the July 11th Al-Anon readings, Encouraged to Change, and a little time for myself. We'll begin with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Gosh. Can't believe we're like entering into mid-July. Holy mackerel. All right, I'm going to take a minute to look this over. The question is, in what ways does Tradition 3 encourage me to remain true to myself and my group? So the passage starts off by quoting, I guess, part of Tradition 3. The relatives of alcoholics, when gathered together for mutual aid, may call themselves an Al-Anon Family Group, provided that, as a group, they have no other affiliation. And this person is describing how it protects the members of Al-Anon and lets us focus on our recovery. We help the program stay true to itself when we follow Tradition 3. Today's reminder: it's important to stay true to ourselves and avoid anything that distracts us from our primary purpose. The quote is from Reaching for Personal Freedom. Our goal is mutual aid everywhere, all the time. Mutual aid. Interesting. That was a really short paraphrase. But basically, it's about the goal being mutual aid. How does Tradition 3 encourage me to remain true to myself and my group? I guess it reinforces the importance of doing what works for me, taking care of myself, focusing on my own well-being, because I've learned through experience and through Al-Anon that I am not useful to anyone if I'm not taking care of myself. And every time my sponsor tells me that, it just stops me in my tracks, because I know it's true. So that's a really good way to help me refocus, is when my sponsor says, hey, you're no good to anyone if you're not taking care of yourself. You've got to take care of yourself first, so you have something to give. But if you have nothing to give because you're not taking care of yourself, then what's the point? Exactly. Well said. So the passage names specific things that we really shouldn't be bringing into meetings, because they aren't directly related to Al-Anon, such as rehab centers. But like I don't think I have never named like a specific rehab center, but I have talked about my experience in getting my son in like details of his stay and what happened when we left. But I think that's different. And besides, I mean, I say things all the time. I shouldn't say I say things all the time. I have made slips in mentioning things. I think once I quoted a Beatles song, which has nothing to do with Al-Anon. It just was perfect for the topic and just how I was feeling. I guess there's nothing wrong with that. That's the thing. When I read pages like this, I think, "Oh no, I've made so many mistakes." And then I realize that Al-Anon is a gentle program and that we're not going to be thrown out and that we're human beings and we make mistakes. And I have been at meetings where people have taken other people aside and said, "Hey, you can't do that. Just so you know, like you're welcome here, but please don't do that." Um, my second home meeting was an in-person meeting, and this newcomer came in, and when it was his turn to speak, he got out of his chair and he walked around the room, and he spoke for way more than 3 minutes, which is the time limit. And nobody said anything. I mean, I felt a little scared because I felt like he was being like a little bit aggressive, and I don't know this person, so I was a little like what is he gonna do? But he didn't do anything. Someone took him aside after the meeting. Another man took him aside and just said, "Hey, we're glad you're here, but that's not how we do things. Like, you're going to make people feel unsafe." And I only know this because at the next meeting, I took someone aside, a man, and I said, "Hey, that guy freaked me out." And he said, "It's been taken care of." So, um, so it's all, I guess what I'm saying is it all worked out and it always has for me um, up to this point. So, uh, I guess that's tradition 3 in practice. That was a lot. We still have to read this one. I felt like I went, okay, anyway, I went away. I was like in that meeting again when I was talking about it. Okay, I could like picture it like anyway. I have such a vivid imagination, vivid senses, I guess. All right, so this page has a nice little tab. I'm going to look it over. This is great. I think I know this passage cracks me up every time I read it. Mm. It's about dealing with our strong emotions, anger in particular. And this person says that they avoid conflict and then they turn into a doormat. And for some reason, I think because I see myself in that so strongly, like my tendency, like I've gotten much better, but that is my natural tendency. And every time I read it, I laugh because I think it's like so, it's like I could have, I don't know, I can't explain why I find it so funny, but I can tell you that it's not funny. It's just true, I guess. So it goes on to say that in Al-Anon, we learn to acknowledge our feelings and be responsible for how we express them. And this person talks about how, instead of doing this, they've learned to do this, like something more positive. And it goes on to talk about communicating anger, um, doing it more gracefully, even though conflicts can be very uncomfortable. It's important not to run away from it, from a conflict, that is. I guess we do learn in Al-Anon how to manage communications. Al-Anon is all about relationships, relationships with ourselves, relationships with our higher power, relationships with each other. It's what it's all about. Today's reminder, feeling our feelings as part of recovery, balancing feelings with action. Is also part of our recovery. And the quote is from Thomas Jefferson. If you're angry, count to 10. If you're really angry, count to 100. I like that. I don't know. I feel like I want to tell you about what happened last night. There were, it kind of has to do with this. It's coming up. It's making me think of it. So I'm going to try to be as concise as possible because the video is already kind of longer than usual, I think. But so for me, last night was fireworks. Actually, I'm recording this on the 4th of July, and in the town that I live in, there's a city nearby that does fireworks, and because we're on the water, we can very clearly see the fireworks in the city that's across the water. So everyone gathers by the shore to see the fireworks. And our friends have a boat in a marina right there. So we go to their boat along with other people, like the last several 4th of Julys. But this 4th of July, we were supposed to, in the forecast it was a severe thunderstorm watch. I did not grow up near the water. I grew up in like inland suburbs. Like we had like lakes and ponds, but not the ocean. So like everyone around where I live now, has experience on salt water on the ocean with boats, so on. I was always told that you don't go near water. You don't go near water. You don't go under a tree. You get into a building. If you're stuck outside, you try to get into a car. But like I was even taught that you like stay away from windows. You don't put on electricity. Like you don't watch television. You don't go on the phone like landlines. You don't take a shower. Like that's how I was brought up. Gosh, I wonder why I'm so nervous. Like, I wonder why I'm such a nervous person. I just explained all that, and I'm like, holy crap. But anyway, um, so my partner said, oh, when do you want to go? And I said, I'm not sure I want to go. Like, if the weather's going to be bad, I don't want to be on the boat if there's a severe thunderstorm. And he said, so our friends have a 30-foot cruising yacht. And in this marina, so it's like a lower boat compared to like the fishing boats that have multiple tiers, and then there are the sailboats that their masts go up. Like when I say 30 feet, I mean long on the water. When I say sailboats have masts 30 feet high, I mean they go straight up. Like they're like lightning rods. That's what they look like. They look like a lightning rod. So my partner said, we'll be safe if we're on the boat. Now the boat is floating on the water. We'll be safe on the boat because the masts on the sailboats would conduct the lightning. The the boat that we're on would not, so we would be safe. And something in me just, it's not that I didn't believe him, it's that I felt like if anything happened, I would never forgive myself, because my whole life I've known that you shouldn't be near water when there's a thunderstorm. That's what it was. It was that I know better. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have been talked into doing this. So he's telling me, and I was like, I hear you, but I don't feel comfortable. And I could tell he was really not happy with me. And that's hard for me. When someone's not happy with me, that bothers me, especially when it's like my partner, because I live with this person, and like, I want us to be happy, and I want us to, I don't want there to be tensions. So I let it go, and then I found him in another part of the house, and I started talking to him again, and he said, you don't have to, we don't have to talk about this. And I said, look, I said, it's not that I don't believe you, it's that basically, like, I'm scared because I've been told my whole life that this is the way it is. And even if it's wrong, or if there's more information, like I even Googled it, and it said, no, don't be on a boat during a thunderstorm. But with everything else, there's more to it. So we have this plan going into it last night that if a thunderstorm approaches, we will come home. So we go to the boat. Everybody goes to the boat. There are like 12 people on this boat, and we're all there. And I'm thinking, we're all on this boat. We're like a bunch of middle-aged, like fairly intelligent, educated. Not that that has anything to do with intelligence, but I'm just saying, like, we have like we should be able to stay safe with the brain power among us. And everyone's tracking the storms on our phone. I'm not doing it on my phone because my phone, I don't know. I was holding the dog, okay? I was holding Daisy. I think you've seen Daisy before. I was holding Daisy. So I had the best job. But this storm, like, all of a sudden, the storm is like upon us. It's like someone said, it's time to close up the boat. And I said to my partner, it's time to go. It was too late to go. And like wind squalls were happening, birds were flying around. Like, it was crazy. I've never experienced, like, the birds alone, all the seabirds, like, they were all like way up in the sky. There were like 100 of them, and I've never seen anything like it. And the wind made such a noise, a sound. I didn't recognize it. I said, what is that? And someone said, it's a wind squall. We were in the boat, the protectors were down, so I couldn't feel the wind, but the sound of the wind. We rode out that storm, a severe thunderstorm, lightning, thunder, heavy rain, no hail. I don't think there was hail. I think I would know. If it was hail, it was very small, because someone mentioned hail, but I didn't see any hail. We rode out that storm on that boat, and no boats were hit by lightning in the marina. And in fact, the whole time, police boats were out in the water patrolling, and we were okay. So what the communicating during conflict is what came up for me, because I'm not sure I handled the communication right or well. I mean, I spoke up, and also like questioning my own long-held beliefs. Like one of the other readings was recently saying, it's just, or maybe we were just lucky. I don't know. But that feeling of feeling really, really strongly, feeling like our safety is in jeopardy, and like being heard. But then, like, it ended up happening anyway. I don't know. As I sit here today, it was quite an adventure, and actually it was fun. But it could have very easily have not been fun and been a tragedy. So, like, what have I learned? What would I do differently next time? I still don't know. I'm very conflicted. Everybody else went. Like, I was the only one who was overly concerned. I don't know. I don't know. I still don't know. I don't know. We'll close out with the serenity prayer and 3 mindful breaths. Here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Sending you so much love. Take care.